Hey everyone, welcome to Reading the Green and our Golf DFS podcast. My name is Mike. I sound like a horse this week, lost my voice yelling at kids over Father's Day weekend. Also have Kyle and Jordan here. On Tuesday, June 21st, we have our US Open recap and our Travelers Championship preview. Lots of other good stuff. Guys, how you doing tonight?
Good. I almost neighed there for you and then decided I should just not do that ever.
Nah, it's all right. Everyone else is going to do it.
I'm good, but I didn't just get off the golf course like Jordan, so I'm probably not quite as good as doing as well as he is.
Yeah, Jordan, you're on fire, man. You're just shooting, you're shooting even par round after even par round in your league.
Yeah, and then I go out and I golf a full 18 and I shoot 85. So it's a little give and take right now. But tonight was extra special because I was supposed to have a client dinner. And then at 3:30, two of the clients left, and there was only one left. And I was like, fuck this. We don't need 8 people that work for my company to go to this dinner with this one person. So I called the club. I was like, I'm back in. Let me in. And
nice.
By 5:30, I teed off. I wore pants. It was 88 degrees, but it was fantastic.
I am jealous, but why don't we start with that? So Father's Day weekend, I hope you guys were able to celebrate with your family, but I think all three of us played golf of some sort.
Yeah, I had 8:40 tee time, Brooks Country Club in Okoboji, Iowa. Played really, really poorly on the front. Had no clue where a drive was going. I mean, it went from a slice to a hook to a dribble. It was bad, but made the turn, and I don't know what happened, but I tore off a good 7-hole stretch and then just tanked it at the end. But I probably had the best 7-hole stretch I've had in years.
That's quite the statement.
Mm-hmm.
You play with your dad?
Yeah, it's just that dad power, I think.
Jordan, how about you? A smooth 85 down in Chicago?
No, we were back here Sunday. Played at 7 a.m. First tee time off. Filled in other people's names so no one would join the two of us. So we played in just over 3 hours. It was tough though. They had the member was Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So the roughs were long, the greens were fast. It was a bear of a round, and ripped out an 85. So I'm always looking to help my handicap. I don't like good scores, except for when it counts for money.
I am learning. I'm learning from you, and I also played on Sunday morning. I got the pass and played with actually at my old club with the former pro there and another member, and we played for a few bucks skins, the three of us. And like you said, my goal is to win all the money, but still get my handicap to go up, which I was able to do. I made 5 birdies in the first 12 holes, still shot 75, and won a few bucks off those guys. So, it sounds like a good weekend all around.
So we had a 75 and an 85 that's being complained about, and I shot 100. So, hey.
Yeah, there's a reason we usually invite you to scramble tournaments, Kyle, well, not every week.
And I can pop every now and then. I went 55, 45.
Yeah.
With an 8 and a 6 on the last 2 holes. So it should have been like a 41, 42. But poor strategy on my part. I didn't leave the driver in the bag on 17. Regret it.
Well, that's something we can work on. You and Scott Fawcett with Decade Golf, Kyle. He's I want you to read up on him a little bit.
I'll get some notes from Willie Z.
Okay. Before we get into the US Open recap, this has to do with the US Open, but I was, Kyle, we were chatting about this, and I want to know, Jordan, if you know the story. But the guy that won the US Open Millie Maker on DraftKings, Tanner Tolbert, was the subject of a fantasy football collusion scandal on DraftKings about a year ago, when he and his wife, who I believe he met on The Bachelorette, or maybe he was just on The Bachelorette, they both entered, 600 almost all unique lineups in the Millie Maker for a fantasy football wild card weekend. in a way to sort of 300 lineups in a way to sort of get past the 150 max lineup rule. One household, 300 lineups. They ended up winning. DraftKings actually changed the standings after the fact and took away the $1 million from Jade. And so Twitter was on fire this week as Tanner was climbing up the leaderboard in the U.S. Open and just totally ripping him and DraftKings pretty much all weekend.
Well, at least it was his account this time and not hers. That was the issue before.
And like the story with her was in that she says to the press, like, "Oh, I started dabbling in fantasy football, you know, to show interest in what he was doing." And it was like, okay.
Yeah, and then somebody, I forget the player last time, but they asked her about a specific player and she said the wrong team or something.
Right.
You know, Mike, I'm always looking for an angle for everything.
I know you are.
The rules don't say that I can't give my wife 150 lineups for her to enter, right?
The rules actually do say that. Apparently, they do try to crack down on household account sharing. So, I guess
but it's not different. They're totally different accounts. Might as well just put a fake person. I can put my mom. Is that better if I create an account for my mom?
And I think it's legal as long as your mom does the clicking.
Yeah, well, we know that wouldn't happen. She would never figure out that.
What do we got to do to get better internet in Minnetonka?
Yeah, for anyone listening on the podcast and hearing Robot Jordan, he's got some Wi-Fi issues to sort out. So here, before we talk about the U.S. Open, because I know we got a lot to do. Kyle, what are you drinking?
Old Reliable on my.
I'm back. I'm back. I switched to the other Wi-Fi network that I have.
Some on-air IT troubleshooting here. Kyle,
is it better?
Yeah, it's better. Thank you.
Yeah, it's better. Yeah, I got Old Reliable, Lupulin, Hooey.
There you go. Must have brought that back from the Twin Cities.
Yeah, we're back, so I was able to smuggle some back to Iowa.
Perfect, Jordan.
I got a little bit more exotic in the second part of the pod.
I've got a other half Mosaic Dream.
Man,
it is hazy as can be and delicious. Better than the Coors Light that I drank on the course.
Is that another 10%er that you are? No, not this time.
6. I made sure to look before I opened it.
This is a light in dark places when all other lights go out. Fair State and Burial. Burial's in Asheville. Super good. I don't think I've ever seen Burial up here in the Midwest. I've only seen it in the Southeast, but Fair State did a collaboration with them, a pale ale. So very, very good. It's only about 5%.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, pretty good. All right. U.S. Open. I got a couple of questions. First of all, obviously, fantastic golf tournament, riveting down to the very, very last putt. Which as soon as Zalatoris missed that putt, I booked it out of my in-laws with my father-in-law and my 2 oldest kids. We went and played half a dozen holes or so, and that was super fun on Father's Day. But question: Dan Rappaport, Golf Digest, field reporter. He's about at every event on tour. Well documented that he's good buddies with Matt Fitzpatrick. They played golf together for about 5 minutes at Northwestern. When Zalatoris missed the putt on 18, you can see in the background from one of the camera angles, Dan loses his mind and he's hugging Alex Fitzpatrick. Should a journalist as prominent as Dan with Golf Digest be allowed to cheer that openly for a buddy of his at a tournament?
That's tough. I always like the emotion, but probably not a good look. I didn't hear a lot about it though. Was it getting a lot of airplay?
It got fired up on Twitter a little bit. People telling him to do his job and all that. But because I listen to a lot of the Golf Digest content, and he's talked about Matt all the time. The last 2-3 years since he's been employed at Golf Digest, it's not a secret that he is very good friends with him. But it does seem like he maybe should have been doing a little more work at that moment versus hanging out with the family and jumping around and cheering. But I don't know.
It's one of those that's right. Sports journalists, I give a little more leeway to than a political, like you can't
Sure.
be a White House correspondent and like, yeah,
Yeah.
great announcement that you just did. But like sports, everyone's a fan. You go into sports journalism because you are a freaking fan of golf or basketball or whatever. I don't know. It'd be hard for me to turn it off.
It would be hard. I agree. But I just thought there was one, because people roasted him on Twitter, and there was the one shot on camera. I was like, okay, that's what they're talking about. um, so all right. Kyle, thoughts on Will Zalatoris? How many majors is he gonna win next year?
Yeah, I might have snuck that note in there on you on our live outline here. But Willie Z, I mean, I'm betting him at the Masters. I'm betting him at the U.S. Open. Why not? I'm probably not betting him at the British Open unless it's going to be really nasty conditions. But I'm of the mindset that this is just the tip of the iceberg. He's going to get over the hump here, and he's going to win. He's going to win lots.
See, I'm gonna bet him top 5 all the time. There's no need to waste money on an outright with Will.
It's unbelievable what he's doing. And I hope, you want the kid to win. You just hope that he, like, this isn't all he's got, like if he comes down off this peak.
Is he Karl Malone? Is he Patrick Ewing? Right? Like,
Yeah.
you can be really good and just never be able to get over the hump.
I will say, in his 3 latest his 3 second place finishes at these events, he has progressed, right? From that first Masters, he kind of gave some things away on Sunday. And then he didn't necessarily go get it in Oklahoma, but didn't blow up. And I felt like this week he just got beat by Fitzpatrick. He had that rough start. He made some great birdies from there, saved some pars, put himself in a great position to win, and just came up and missed it by a half inch on 18 there to send it to a playoff.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick, you're right. I think Fitzpatrick went out and won it. The shot that he hit on 18, obviously everyone talked about it, is incredible. He made a couple of a couple of excellent putts on the back nine. I know 15, he hit that 5-iron from the rough and then drained the 18-footer. He drained a 50-footer on the hole before that. So it was just he did go out and win it, and it's tough for Zalatoris because Justin Thomas went out and won the PGA. You could say that too. And so it's at some point he's got to go out and he's got to go and win his, and hopefully it happens. I think we're all cheering for him.
Yeah, I would agree. Even with my snarky comment about not betting him to outright.
Yeah.
I will be rooting for him to win. Even to just win a tournament. I don't think, unlike Matt Fitzpatrick, I don't think Zalatoris' first win will be a major.
Well, there was a stat floating around about the discrepancy between his strokes gained putting in majors versus all other events, and it was like negative outside the majors, and then way positive during the majors. So something is he certainly gets up for the big tournaments.
Yeah, and he plays, and that's why, from a win perspective, he plays better at hard courses, right? So I joked around with one of the members of our RTG league, Derek, about Will, withdrawing this week, and maybe he just wants to go win the John Deere next week. Well, a birdie fest like that's not a place to see Will.
No.
If it's not going to be a major, it's going to be at Riv or the Valspar or one of those tougher events where 6 to 10 wins typically.
Well, Matt Fitzpatrick, like you said, certainly deserved the win. He's been a guy that we've been talking about all year. He's been in various price points. We played him a bunch when he was a 7K player, maybe not as much when he was a 9K player, but kind of all felt like he had this coming. Kyle, you were all over him on your betting card, which, first of all, congrats. Very nice week for you, hitting the outright and a whole bunch of other prop bets. So good week, man.
Thanks. Back-to-back outrights. Granted, Rory at the Canadian Open, a little lower on the odds, but hey, there was a boost as part of that. So I'll take it. Overall, we'll put out the bets for our out on our Twitter account tomorrow, but we've had the last 4 events, first round leader, double first round leaders that was tied, of course, dead heat, and then outright. So pretty good little streak here.
Mm-hmm. I forgot to get this out on Thursday. I wanted to get an overreactions tweet out on Thursday for Stu Hagestad, who I know you guys don't really know. But for those mid-am golfers out there who are aspiring to both be competitive and hold a steady job, Stu is a hero for us. Granted, I think he's a firefighter, and he plays a lot of high-level amateur golf, so he's not doing much work. But he's about our age, and there he was at the top of the leaderboard on Thursday. About halfway through the round, he was 3 under, and it just was. I don't know the last time we've had an amateur really compete in the U.S. Open. Of course, I think he finished near the bottom of guys that made the cut. Not even a low am.
Even on Thursday,
he did. I think he had a tough finish.
Below par.
But it was pretty cool. I mean, he's not a college player. He's like 35, 36. Grinding it out as an older amateur, not quite Fran Quinn. Fran Quinn's a pro. But yeah, so it was just cool to see him out there playing well. I bet that was a cool moment for him.
Yeah. There was a lot of cool stories on Thursday and Friday, and so just overall, it was a great event from a lot of perspectives, obviously. But you had a lot of cool stories on Thursday and Friday that transitioned into just a great leaderboard for the weekend. So just from an event view, you can't beat that.
Yeah, it's crazy how between Thursday and Sunday, you just feel like you're watching so many different things. Like what happened on Thursday was so irrelevant compared to Sunday. And by the time we got to Sunday, I felt like there were 8 guys that could have won this golf tournament at one point. Yeah, we were talking about Morikawa, being on top of the world and he's going to do it. And then all of a sudden it was, Rahm was leading the golf tournament, and then Scheffler, and then
Zal, by a couple. Yeah.
It just was crazy how I felt it was going in 8 different directions. And then, Fitz obviously there the whole time. So, Kyle, you must have been feeling pretty good. Your card had, half those guys on it.
Yeah. Didn't really have a cut sweat or, sweat at the end there with Will on the card, Fitz on the card, and Scotty. So it takes a little bit of the excitement out of it, but I could just watch golf that way. I knew regardless of what would happen, there's going to be the money there at the end. Unfortunately, Fitz, I had the lowest payout just because I put multiple units on Scotty and had a little bit longer odds on Will. So was probably rooting for Will, but obviously was okay with any of those 3.
Well, with the RTG Listener League, we had a first-time winner. I'll go with Buke 0215, gets the W. I think that's his first on the season. Spicy One, who's been in and out this year, comes in second. And then we have a Ness, a majors only player, takes the 3rd spot. So I hope maybe we'll see him come back week to week now that he's made a little money off of us.
I was glad to see Boot Pop or Booch 0215 get up there. He's been a loyal player, and so I think this is his first not only win but top 3 finish.
Good for him.
Going for it. I got kept just out of the money. Both of mine.
What did it, Jordan?
The players I picked. That's a good question. I haven't done an assessment yet, but both this one and my neighborhood league, I was in the money all weekend and then dropped out over the last 9 holes or so.
I do think overall, I think we had pretty good weeks around the RTG crew here. I think maybe I got a little lucky. We did have some landmines in our model. Im was at the top of the board. I was a little light on Im, Lowry, and then Finau. So I was heavy on Fitzpatrick and Zalatoris. I think that really helped. But the model wasn't as clean this week as we would have liked. Couple of guys up top that missed the cut.
The good news this week is it was cashable, and at least a cash game if you had 3 or 6 get through with some good finish. It's only top 60 in ties making the cut, and that cut staying at 3, which I'm still kind of amazed it did at the end of the day Friday. I think I saw a stat on Twitter that the cut probability to stay at 4 was north of 80% at one point, and then it came back to 3. And so, that took Sanjay out, Lowry out. That took a lot of Finau as well, right? So it took a lot of those high-owned guys out. I did have a lot of Sanjay, had a decent amount of Lowry. Didn't have a whole lot of Finau, Henley, or Fleetwood. But overall, cash games all got through and had some fun GPP sweats going into Sunday. Unfortunately, couldn't finish high on the board, but enough to make a little money there.
I would almost prefer someone totally shits the bed like Henley than Im and Finau, right? Like I'm on the edge of my seat. If those two make the cut, I make bank this weekend, right? Just getting those extra points, even if they, as long as they don't shoot a 80, right? You're gonna get enough points, and that's I've talked about Finau a few weeks in a row here, and then he lets me down.
He did.
By missing the cut.
Jordan, I want to check in on your you had a prop bet for no holes in one, which didn't cash.
Correct.
I think there were a couple of them. Cameron Young had one of them, and I know you guys were surprised. He had one of them. He still missed the cut.
Yeah, 5 under on his final 6 holes on Friday, and he still missed the cut.
Was it on 11? I guess I missed.
No, it was on. I don't remember. It was not 11 though.
What do you think of the course overall? I've heard great things as far as feedback goes. Unfortunately, I did not see much Thursday, saw a little Friday, and then on the weekend, I listened to a lot of the event on the radio.
Cool. Back when I had like Sirius XM in a car, I used to listen to PGA Tour radio. I have no problem with it.
Yeah, the U.S. Open app, you could just listen to the Sirius station for free through that. So had a little wonderful time on Sunday after the round, so listened to a lot of it there.
Course overall, I thought was really enjoyable to watch on TV. It looks awesome. So many cool design features with like the rock outcroppings and the fescue. Not something that we really see all that often. It protected itself well. It's actually interesting. The last 3 U.S. Open winners have all been -6. So at least for the courses that, and there's 3 different courses because you had Winged Foot, Torrey Pines, and Brookline. And so I think the USGA is doing a good job of taking, Torrey Pines probably played 1,000 yards long, not 1,000, 800 yards longer than this golf course at times. And so you're able to like do different things with the golf course and still make it challenging, kind of dial into that number. So I enjoyed watching it. Really interesting stuff. That 2-tiered par 5 where you had to hit your layup to the second shelf. Really cool. Not something we normally see.
Yeah, no, it was the course was cool. I liked it. I liked all the blind, right? Like tee shot and everything, right? The courses we play have very few of those.
No, you could play Meadowbrook and get 17 blind shots in a round.
City courses. Those are accidental blind shots. But it really does. It changes it. Golf is at least 50% mental to begin with, and now these guys visualize everything and they see I'm going to aim at that tree right there. Now they're like, I'm going to aim at that piece of grass that's 40 yards away. It changes it all up.
It meant that the work that they put in during the practice rounds meant so much to get all the angles right and everything. So the last thing I'll say is when you have a golf course like that, where the hazard off the fairway is fairly close to the fairway, it rewards guys that hit it pretty far offline because they get into these trampled areas where the galleries are. And so that was the complaint with like on 15 when Fitzpatrick hit that, he got a nice lie in the trampled down grass. He was able to hit a 5-iron. Zalatoris hit it like a foot off the fairway and had a terrible lie. And so that's the only thing on a course like that is you just got to hit it way offline if you're going to miss. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, that's often the Tiger Woods approach.
You need who is the guy that hit was that a fairway wood off of off the stand?
MJ Duffy.
MJ Duffy.
We're talking about the amateurs too. Yeah, that was a pretty cool shot.
It was.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, let's anything else on the US Open? It was a fun week. Good Father's Day. Final thoughts?
You hit it. Fun event, good course. pretty good results overall, and we'll hopefully keep it rolling here.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk briefly about the Travelers Championship. Hey everyone, welcome back. We have the second half of our show, the Travelers Championship preview. But first, please join the Reading the Green Listener League on DraftKings. It's super fun. You can play fantasy golf with us every week, win real money, meet some of our fellow listeners, and just have a good time. So we'll make that link available on Twitter on Wednesday before the event each week. And that's our Listener League on DraftKings. Okay. The Travelers Championship at TPC River Highlands in Cromwell, Connecticut. Real short trip over from Brookline, Massachusetts. This is a short golf course. This is a 6,800-yard golf course. One of the shortest, if not the shortest course on tour. Will be a par 70. It creates a lot of low scores. We've seen some pretty historic numbers here over the years. It does require, my understanding, it does require pretty good accuracy off the tee, but it brings into account a lot of different types of player. So you can have bombers play well here. You can have short game specialists play well here. So I think it's cool because you can get the Brendan Todd, Dustin Johnson duel that we've had in the past. But
that sounds like a thrilling duel.
I know.
Kramer Hickok and Harris English.
Exactly, right? So a lot of different types of players. But yeah, 6,800 yards, really short, and should make it kind of interesting to make some picks here.
Yeah, that sounds like a course that we would do okay at. Right, I could play.
No. You missed the part where I said you need to be accurate off the tee.
What do you mean? I hit every fairway. It's my second shot that's total shit. I hit
strokes gained approach for Jordan loses 10 per round.
Today it was the putter. I think I hit 7 greens in regulation, and I made 1 birdie, which most of them were longer birdie putts. But
so on that note, putting. And granted, this applies for a lot of events. Obviously, you usually got to putt well to win. But this has been a little bit of an outlier from a course perspective, that it's, the guys that have won have putted ridiculously well.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're looking for is obviously someone that is either a good putter, so a Denny McCarthy perhaps, if he can have the rest of his game play well, or people that have known to have spike putting weeks to carry them to the top of the leaderboard.
It's always tough to predict those, I suppose. But I like the idea of trying to pick a guy that is pretty reliable, like someone that played well at the US Open last week, went to UVA. I think Denny McCarthy would be a great play. So anyways, Kyle, why don't we run through the model? Because I actually don't think Denny does not top the board, but I think will be an interesting play this week. But what do we have coming to the top in the RTG model?
We had to float the UVA angle.
I had to, of course.
Yeah. Top of the board so far is Patrick Cantlay. Great course history here. He's at 10-2 this week, 63% mention share at this time, and a strong MPI at 91. Behind him, a short course specialist, I would say, and I think Mike has some fun stats for this one. But Brian Harmon, 8,600 in salary, 45% mention share, 91 MPI. Followed by Brendan Steele, also 45% mention share, a little lower on the MPI though. And then Brendan Todd, another value play at 7,900. It's the Todd father, 36% mention share, and a real strong MPI.
Yeah, lots of good. This is another week where we have a lot of ways you can go at the top. Lots of good value. It's not just all studs. On Brian Harmon, this, I believe, is statistically his best course year to year. So if you look at how he plays, of all the courses that are recurring throughout the season, this is the one where he's played the best. He has a number of top 10 finishes. Goes to show that a short off the tee is okay on a 6,800-yard golf course, as long as you're finding the fairway and making a few putts.
not nice
Yeah.
to make fun of the vertically challenged, Mike.
Well, hey, we say he's a short hitter, but
And
yes.
Andy's a lefty, so he's got 2 strikes against him. He should be a pro bowler. He'd fit right in.
Andy's short. You pointed out the top of the board, Mike, and I kind of wonder if some of that is from a lot of the industry kind of looking at the same things and saying, all right, we're coming off a major. A lot of these guys are going to take next week off. Expect a pretty weak field next week at John Deere, and then go overseas and play, Scottish and the Open Championship, or maybe not playing the Scottish Open and just roll into the Open Championship. And then you have all the press conferences today and players meetings, and some of the guys that are having to be the face of the tour right now. Some of the experts just seem to kind of be staying away.
Don't you think that JT has got to just be exhausted at this point? The PGA, the RBC, all this other stuff, like US Open. He's got to be exhausted. And I know that he's good. Right.
See, I don't like, is he's exhausted from golfing and flying in his private jet and sleeping in 5-star hotels?
It's just the grind, man. It's just like the mental stress. And I know he's a professional and I know he's one of the best players in the world, but at some point he's human and you just say, I need a week off.
Well, and I think it's more the mental aspect as opposed to a physical tired, right? To your point, their travel and everything is high class, but just sitting in press conferences, answering question after question about live and wondering, who's going, if, you can trust the other people, what guys are telling you, that's just got to wear on the guy.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be so sick of hearing about it.
As far as I can tell, Jay Monahan announced today that the PGA Tour is just becoming Live Tour number 2.
Yes. Are we going to talk about that? Or let's save that.
I don't want to talk about it. It's fine.
Save that till the end of the podcast when people can hang out. But see, that's where I differ from you guys. And Justin Thomas is so good that it doesn't take as much mentally as it some of the less good players like Zalatoris. He's probably mentally drained because he's new, right? It's just he dropped out of this week, right? But these other guys, Justin Thomas can come and give 85% and still be top 20 and make money and go on to the next one. I'm not going to have Justin Thomas because he's almost 11K, but right, he's just that good, right? Tiger did this, right? When in Tiger's early days, he just played and won and answered every question, had crowds 10 times the size. And he's just
there are guys that can accidentally win. Scotty Scheffler probably seems like the kind of guy that can accidentally win. And so I suppose if he's in contention, those guys are in contention Saturday afternoon, then they'll turn it on for 24 hours. And
I think they reserve, right? They're going to play Thursday. They're going to play Friday. They assume they're going to make the cut. If they're playing well, they'll go for it. If not, they'll just do the same thing they did Thursday and Friday, right? It's a huge paycheck.
And I asked the question because I don't think I've made up my mind yet. Still have a couple spots open on the betting card and haven't submitted any lineups yet. I'm not sure where I'm starting to build yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a challenge this week. You look at the model and it's a little bit scattered from different price points. We don't usually see, 3 of the top 4 guys between 77 and 8,600. And my thought process was kind of going to that a little bit at staying away from the Rorys and the JT Scotties because of that. But I'm not saying I'm not going to end up there. We'll see.
No, and you might get an ownership break on some of those guys too, even like a Scotty. And I was going to make that point with the US Open. When you get in that high price point, you kind of, if you can get him below 10%, that's a big deal. And he's going to finish, he's kind of a lock to finish top 20. So, well, maybe I'll start with a couple of core plays, and I'll give a couple of value spots that I think are there. Obviously, we said Patrick Cantlay's at the top at 10-2 with the course history, probably a pretty good price for Cantlay, despite not really having a great summer so far. But by far and away, the highest mentioned player we have But I'm looking at a couple of spots where I think there's some value. One, Mackenzie Hughes has been pretty good the last 3 weeks. 7,400, I think, very nicely priced at 7,400 for Mackenzie Hughes, getting 22% mention share right now. So I think that's a very reasonable spot. I also think that Joel Damon is pretty nicely priced at 7,700. Obviously been playing very well. Doesn't have the course history that some of the guys in that price point have, like Brendan Todd or Brian Harmon, up a little bit. But maybe you can get a bit of a pivot on Joel and carry over some of that good form into this week at Travelers.
I like the Joel play. He's on the card. Unfortunately, didn't get him at some of the crazy numbers. He came out at 125.
Yeah.
Don't understand that, given how he's playing and how he finished last week and what this looks like from a possible hypothetical course fit. But I like that play. I'll take it from there, Mike, and I will go with Brendan Steele. He has a 45% mention share. Well, like I said, a little lower on the MPI, but I like him from a form standpoint and what he's done here in the past. And like we said, he's someone that can get hot with the putter. So going up price a little bit, I think I'm going to be in on Jordan Spieth at 9,900. Real strong MPI. Pat Mayo's on him in his strokes gained article, so that he just focuses on two people on that one, and he's all over Spieth there. Granted, his putter has kind of failed him this year, but the whole rest of the game's there. So if he can just find it that week, have that spike week, I think he could easily win. And as opposed to some of those other guys, I think he really wants to get another dub under his belt. I feel like not that these guys don't want it, but he needs a little bit more than some, and has had good history at the die tracks this year, like RBC Heritage, for example.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And then going down a little bit, I will highlight somebody else that's on the betting card so far. Mito Pereira, 8,700, only 18% mention share at this point in time, but strong MPI. And when I just compare some of those other guys in that price range that you're probably going to end up making a pick around, you have Davis Riley, you have Aaron Wise, who I like both those guys, played a lot of those guys recently. But if I'm picking between those three, save a couple $100 on Mito, and I think a lot of guys. I think Aaron Wise is going to carry a lot of ownership this week, so I like the Mito play there.
I think it's a great pivot. Good call out. Jordan, thoughts?
Well, so you were talking about Patrick Cantlay and his not great summer, so I just had to do a little research. What place did he finish in his last 5 tournaments? Each one.
I gotta name them all. What did he finish this week? Like 25th? Not very higher. Oh, he's 14th, really.
Yeah. Memorial, what did he finish?
4th.
Third. PGA, he got cut.
Miscut.
So that one. Zurich Classic.
1.
Yep. RBC Heritage.
2nd.
So you got 2, 1, 3, 14, and cut.
Okay, fine. He's playing great.
So he's playing pretty good. And even with that said, I'm gonna back up my horse play here of Justin Thomas. I'm gonna take Thomas in the listener league. I think I talked it up. I disagreed with you guys that he's tired, and I'm gonna take him. I think he's good enough. I think they're good enough, right? And on courses like this that are this short, right? Like you don't hit your driver well, hit a 3-wood, hit a 2-iron hit your driving iron off the tee, and you don't have that far left to go. And I think he's smart enough to just go out and destroy a course like this if he wants to. Which if he's playing in it, I'm assuming he's not planning on only coming for 2 days. So I'll have JT, and the other one, that I was thinking about was Brendan Todd or Brendan Steele, and I just don't know which one to pick.
Or Brian Harmon. You like those BR names.
I will have a lot of Brian Harmon this week also, for sure. But so, Mike, I know you like to do your Cameron lineups. Are you going to do a Brendan lineup this week?
Well, that's a good idea. How many can I get?
I think only 2, and they're spelled differently. But
I did do one in the US Open, I think in a free contest, that was promoted. All guys with a name that started with HO in their last name. It wasn't really that great. I skipped Bo Hostler.
yeah, well,
Talk about your lineup approach for the RTG League last week.
yeah.
Well, hey, you know what, Kyle? I took 6 live guys, and I finished almost in dead last. So I figured I would take one for the team, and if I finished in near last, you guys would be happy.
One of the contests, I did the 6 live guys thing.
Yeah. But so Mike, let's talk about your HO guys.
Okay.
What's happened to Tom Hoagie?
Regress to the mean? I don't know. I mean, this is he
didn't have the mental fortitude to keep it going all season.
This is expected. He's already overachieved for the year, and this is learning. It's a learning process.
All right,
it's a long game.
Here's your bet. We'll put $5 on this. Well, I guess only if you pick one way or the other. Tom Hoagie to be in the Tour Championship.
I will. Well, I mean, what are my odds? I mean, I'm going to take you straight up. $5.
Straight up, $5.
And I feel like I should get like at least 3-1 odds on that.
You can say no. You can say he's not going to make it, or you can pick yes or no. That's why you don't get the odds. You get the choice.
Let me just see.
No looking up the FedEx standings.
Tom Hoagie will not be in the Tour Championship.
Okay. I think he's like 18th right now.
Yeah.
The nice thing about Hoagie, if you are looking to play him this week, granted he has missed 5 of the last 7 cuts, but when he makes a cut, 9th and 17th, and 9th at PGA, 17th at Byron Nelson, and then he had a string of made cuts there, but obviously 14th, 1st, 2nd, 4th, so he does have that pop upside. So for a GPP play, that's kind of what you're looking for. Hey, if somebody's going to make the cut, they're not just going to coast to 58th, right?
I do think, though, at a price comparison on Tom Hoagie, same price as Mackenzie Hughes, who certainly has better form. Same price as Cameron Davis, who has better form. Fair that it's a good pivot. I just think at that price point, there's some other options that I think are going to be worth it.
Okay, so we've got our first on-air bet. Tom Hoagie to not make. You're saying he's not making the Tour Championship.
So you're taking that he is going to make the Tour Championship?
Yeah, at 3-1 odds, like you said.
Jesus, that's not how this works.
You said you wanted 3-1 odds, so it's. I get it.
All right, fine. All right. That's fine. Book it.
Hey, Jordan, I want in on this on-air betting. Pick a Brendan. I'll take the other one for $5. Who wins this week?
I'm only doing Tom Hoagie bets. Sorry.
Okay, fine, Kyle. I'll take you on that one then.
Okay, you taking Steele or Todd?
I'm taking Brendan Todd.
All right, I got Steele. It's odd.
Okay, book it. All right, here we go. Let's do tiers.
We got a DK points or finish overall on the leaderboard.
Oh, I was thinking overall finish on the leaderboard.
Okay, overall finish on the leaderboard. Okay.
Ties. You both owe me. If they tie, you both owe me $2.50.
No.
What are you, the house?
Always looking for an angle.
Okay. Oh, exactly.
All right, Kyle. Why don't we hit tiers before we wrap?
We got sidetracked there. I lost my my tiers train of thought.
Well, this seems like a good week where there's maybe not too many hard decisions. A lot of kind of 1 or 2 guys coming to the top. I don't know, tier 3, tier 4, kind of a little messy, maybe.
Yeah, tier 4, I think is going to be more difficult one from my perspective. You have a lot of the guys we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Aaron Wise, Davis Riley, Mito, Mark Leishman, HV3, who's been playing well, and Tommy Fleetwood. So if you're looking strictly at mention share at this point, that would be Brian Harmon, who also has a real strong MPI. But we also mentioned, Mito has that strong MPI as well. I'll probably stick to Harmon and cash games, but I think that's where if you were doing a GPP tiers, you could maybe look at going over to Mito.
All right.
No Aaron Wise?
He's done.
No, it's just given the price point this week in here and in the betting market, I got to plant one flag in that area, and I think it's going to be Mito for me. Don't get me wrong, I love Wise, I love Dave Stratton.
I know you're a Wise guy.
Oh,
that wasn't even intentional. That worked out well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good stuff on the Travelers. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you guys, I don't know, what do you want? 1 minute, 2 minutes? Tell me all about the nonsense that is happening right now between Live Golf and the PGA.
My only comment, Brooks Koepka hates DeChambeau. Why would you go after him? I get, like, if he knew DeChambeau was go, announce it beforehand just to show up DeChambeau. But now it's been, 2 weeks, and now you're going? Like, what are you doing, Koepka? Like, dye your hair blonde again, you douche.
Yeah, Brooks is. There was a point in time I kind of liked his bravado.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's whatever. I could care less.
It's lost. I think it's lost. He's been playing so bad. Like, it was awesome when he was a stone cold killer.
Yeah.
But now
I can't wait for his brother to beat him. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Well, and then his press conference last week, like, of course you're gonna get asked about it. Like, it's these guys' jobs, and you're just gonna be a douche to them. Like, get out of here, Brooks. See ya.
Yeah.
Well, my immediate reaction to the Monahan news today with the new series of events proposed on the PGA Tour is that they are literally creating the exact same thing that Liv has set out to do, and they don't really have the resources to do it. And I think it really hurts the one thing that the PGA Tour has, which is a developmental system to keep talent coming in and developing it and letting these guys rise to the top. Yeah. And they're just going to go and kind of siphon off the cream and say, okay, we're treating these guys differently.
Yeah.
And I know they have to.
Why did they pick 8? Right? Just do 4. Make people you just needed to do something to get the better players more money. You don't need to do 8.
Yeah. 8 is a lot. Well, and it sounds like they're going to change tournaments like the Memorial and the Arnold Palmer are going to become part of this circuit.
No, I bet they should go crappy tournaments, right? It should be the 3M Open as part of the tournament to get people to show up at it, right? Like, people show up at the Memorial anyway. They should do whatever tournament is this. I guess Travelers
John Deere.
The John Deere, right? Like, you'd get a much better turnout of players.
I feel like they had to do it. 8's too many. 4 to 6 in there. It makes sense. I mean, basically what they're doing is they're bringing back the WGC, but just paying more money, which they probably should have been doing the whole time anyway. But 8's overreaction, in my opinion. But to your point, Mike, I can see that as well. But maybe this just gives players more to work for and makes that top 50 more valuable.
Maybe.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, oh, I'm the 45th golfer in the world. It's great, but like now that really would mean
is
something.
Worth something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good point.
The one question is, do you think Monahan waited until Brooks Koepka announced to now announce this because he didn't want Koepka involved?
I don't
know. Right? Like,
it's
it came
so
out like hours after, right? Like,
they had those meetings today, and I just think it just played well after the Open and where the Travelers was, because where headquarters is and all that. But.
Yep.
All right. Well, good stuff, guys. Of course, you can find our content on our YouTube channel, our Twitter account, RTG Podcast DFS, and on any major podcast platform. Looking forward to a good week at the Travelers, and we'll be back in a week from today to preview the wonderful John Deere Classic. See ya.